Overthinking investments is killing your portfolio even if you don't know it. And what I mean by this is that when you are first getting into investing, you probably spend a lot of time on the internet trying to figure out what the best investment is for your hard-earned money. And you might see someone that says you should only invest in the S&P 500 and then just not worry about it. And then there's the guys that say that you have to have 50% in international stocks and then another 20% in bonds for safety. And then there's the guys that are all in on dividend stocks, and there's people that strictly follow the Warren Buffett principles. But all of this analysis paralysis, it just leaves you frozen and not knowing what to do with your money and staying on the sideline rather than getting invested. And the truth is that this overthinking probably destroys more of your wealth than any market crash or bad investment choice would. So in this video, I'm going to go over some reasons why that is and how to fix it. So I don't know if you guys remember last April because it feels like forever ago, but this was when Liberation Day happened, and I remember this very clearly because around that same time I was on Reddit a lot, and when Liberation Day happened, there was posts everywhere of people just saying you need to rotate all of your money into international stocks, or you need to get out of the market right now before the dollar collapses, and these tariffs are going to destroy the US economy, and this is the 2008 great financial crisis all over again. But all these people, they were panicking and they were selling everything, and they were jumping between different ETFs, and just there was so much chaos going on. And what ended up happening in retrospect is that 2 months later they probably all were just buying back in at higher prices, and this is because they let their emotions dictate their decisions for them rather than just investing and staying calm through the market over time and just having that long-term mindset. They were jumping at the news and trying to predict the future too much based on one day's events, and now they've lost money because of it. So, if you want to be a successful investor, you have to learn to ignore the noise, cut out all the bullshit that you read online, that you see on Reddit, and you need to learn to just stay focused on the long term goal and stay invested. And that will be the best strategy for you going long term to not lose money when there's volatility or news of wars happening overseas or something happening in the government, because there's always going to be that noise, but you just have to ignore it and move forward with your head down. So another way that new investors way overthink shit is through the perfection trap and the illusion of having the perfect investment. And this is something that happened to me when I first started investing. Once again, I was spending a lot of time on Reddit trying to learn the best way to invest and the best place to put my money, because let's face it, you spend a lot of time at work, blood, sweat, and tears trying to get this money. So you don't want to just waste it in the stock market on some risky investment. So I spent a lot of time on Reddit trying to find this investment, and there'd be different debates on there like, should I invest in VOO or VTI, or should I put 20% into international stocks? And then you'd have the Boglehead subreddit where they talk about, have this percentage of your portfolio in bonds. And I would just scroll through all these posts and just question, what do I invest in? And since then, I've learned that at the end of the day, as long as you're not picking some like super risky biotech stocks or putting your money into, I don't know, like penny stocks, you're most likely going to be fine. As long as you pick some sort of total market ETF, which it can be an S&P 500, it could be a total stock market, it could be one of the growth ETFs, which you'll hear a lot on Reddit that you should strictly avoid the growth ETFs, or that there's too much overlap or too much weight in tech stocks, and that probably scares a lot of people away from these ETFs, which have great gains, like SCHG, which is one of my favorites. And this is all because there's so much noise in trying to build the perfect portfolio that's perfectly diversified. But let's face it, over a 30 or 40-year time horizon, is any of that really going to matter? And like, are the percentages between VOO and VTI really going to make that much of a difference? I mean, personally, I highly doubt it, but that's just my opinion. And I think that if you're getting into investing for the first time, you should really just focus on picking a select few investments and just getting as much money in there as possible. And this brings me to my third point, which is something that I don't think a lot of people talk about, and that's that you can't just optimize your way to wealth with your portfolio when you don't even have that much money to invest in the first place. I mean, think about how many people are out there that are trying to develop the most perfectly well rounded portfolio that's diversified in every different industry, and they're also keeping a careful eye on the market to try and make sure that they're protecting their portfolio, when in reality they only have $100 a month to invest in the stock market. I mean, at that point, none of that stuff really matters when you just don't have that much in your portfolio to begin with. So I think for new investors, the most important thing should be to try and increase your ability to invest as much as possible. And this can be through a variety of ways. You could try and pick up more hours at your job or get a promotion. You could do a side gig like Uber Eats, or maybe you could work at the bar on the weekend or try and start some kind of side hustle. But my point is that you need to find ways to create more value that you can then take and invest in the stock market, because over a 30-year time horizon, it's not going to matter whether you invested in VOO or VTI. It's going to matter how many thousands of dollars you were able to invest every single year. So that should be your main priority, not overthinking every little aspect of your portfolio. So you need to stop overthinking and ignore the panic headlines. Just pick a solid, simple portfolio and then spend your energy on what actually matters, which is earning more money and staying consistent over a long period of time. Because wealth is not built from being perfect, it's built from being patient over time. So if this helped you relax about your portfolio, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.